Electricast.
Missing the point. Football again. Why not? It's fucking 12-month season now, boys. We just got to talking about the free agency because the first day, basically every running back changed teams. So, we got a nice little sweat going talking about the kind of backfields of different teams, and then quarterbacks moved around, and basically every single team, bar one, was making moves and doing stuff and filling voids and thinking about their futures. When you get those grading the free agency moves, it's like it's so fucking like you're guessing. You really have no idea like if this guy's going to be better on this team or worse on the other, with the exception of probably our first topic of conversation, and that is Saquon Barkley. I mean, that's probably the biggest move of the offseason so far. I guess you could argue Kirk Cousins to the Falcons, but I'll make a point later as to why that's not that big of a deal. But let's start with Saquon, because he's going from the 30th best offensive line in the NFL to the first best offensive line in the NFL, admittedly now without Jason Kelce in it. But I think that they'll be able to move some stuff around and still be at least top five. At least definitely the best line that he's ever run behind. Bobby kept making this point about CMC when he moved to San Francisco, where he was like, he just looks right in that uniform. And like, look how he's performed and how healthy he's stayed in San Francisco overall, comparatively to when he was in Carolina. I felt the same way about Saquon. I was like, look how he looks in that uniform. He looks correct in that uniform. It fits him. I think his identity as a player, it really fits. And we were talking about DeAndre Swift not really fitting the Eagles scheme because he's, Swift is sort of more of a downhill elusive guy, and he's a pretty decent pass catcher, and they have about 16,000 of those already in Philadelphia. So he's going to fall down the pecking order. Saquon, it's like, oh man, I feel like that's what that Eagles offense was missing. Somebody who can really just run a vertical game against the kind of teams that the Eagles play all year. The kind of the dynamic defense of Dallas. The teams that they come up against are generally teams that Saquon Barkley's already seen as well, because he went from division to division. So, Mike, Tiki Barber drama aside, what do you make of the move for Saquon over to Philly?
I mean, I think that this move will undoubtedly lengthen his career. I mean, when you think about like what you said, that he's been playing under one of the worst offensive lines probably for the entirety of his career. And he has been the focal point of that offense in New York with no weapons. Now, I think, you could see it. Maybe his carries go down, but I'm thinking like his yards per game are going to go up. He's their perfect kind of running back because he can still average like that 4 yards per carry. He's really fucking hard to tackle, but he's a great pass catcher too. And I just think that, you and I were talking about how it seems like he's always hurt. Last year, he missed 3 games, but this is the type of move that you look at, you're like, wow, like that offense that was already pretty good just got exponentially better with one signing in the offseason.
I was thinking about what you were saying about how he wasn't as hurt as we thought. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's just that he was fucking festering in a team that nobody gives a fuck about by like week 3, if that, right? So, Bobby, I mean, you got a horse in this race when Giants and Eagles collide. What do you think about this move? I mean, Mike mentioned no weapons for the Giants. Now they really have fucking no weapons. Like, I don't know what that offense is going to look like next season. So that's something for you, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, they go to the Eagles though, which was just a nightmare.
Good. They were already good.
Like, it goes from DeAndre, exactly what you guys said, though. It goes from DeAndre Swift to fucking Saquon Barkley. And if they can keep this dude healthy, that's a real weapon for that team. It's not, like DeAndre Swift was good, but exactly like you said, dude, it didn't fit the scheme, exactly like we said all year. I like the Swift to Bears signing, by the way. I think he fits their scheme a lot better. Yeah, I do like that.
I agree. I will talk about that too. I got a couple other running backs to get through before, a little higher profile before we do.
None of them to the Cowboys, so that's fine.
I mean, don't think we're not going to talk about that. That backfield looks like a fucking.
Yeah, I'm more disappointed he didn't go to the Cowboys, to be honest. I really wanted Saquon on the boys. I thought he looked fucking great with that star in his helmet. But it's a great signing for the Eagles, but it fucking pisses me off. I'll tell you
It's a
what.
great signing for the Eagles. I mean,
It's a
you
fucking
get that same,
great signing
you
for the
get that,
Eagles. It really
you get
is.
that same vibe as you got when CMC. It's just like these pieces are all falling into place for the NFC to actually start getting good 1 through 7. You know, and
Except for one team. But, you know, I see what you're alluding to there. It's
okay, fine. Let's talk about it. I mean, I spent the whole day yesterday. It was one of my favorite days, and you just always conveniently like not around when the Cowboys are doing something stupid like losing, or like losing to 8 seeds, or you know not filling up their backfield with anyone. Like I'm like Tony Pollard left, and I was like, okay, let's watch the dominoes fall. Mike, it seemed like you were the one paying the most attention as the dominoes were falling in the group chat. So you and I talked about it a lot. You know, the essentially what happened is like there was probably a list of potential running backs for the Dallas Cowboys to get. And you're looking at this list in your head. Like I had one in my head once Pollard left, because Pollard was one of the first signings. He was like 1 or 2 on this at the start of the day. And I was like, okay, got to pay attention to how Dallas now addresses the backfield, considering there's 67 running backs that are all names that all can be signed right now. Right. So the domino starts to fall. Pollard falls. It goes all the way down to like Derrick Henry signs with the Baltimore Ravens, which is another, I think, wonderful signing for them. I'm like, that was one of those things where it was like, once it happened, it just like clicked in my head. I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly the right place for him. Like exactly the right thing to do. Because if you're going to put a guy with Lamar, he has to run totally differently than Lamar does. So now it's going to be
imagine that shit coming at you, bro. That's gonna be
their offense looks dynamic.
It's gonna be wild, man.
So that's gonna be a lot of fun in the regular season. We're gonna have that same theme though, because Mike was right in the end that the homeboy just couldn't get it done in the playoffs. But digression aside, all these running backs going to the same place. Swift goes to the Bears. That fits in my head. Like I just liked it. I'm like, well, my biggest complaint when we lost Monty was his advanced metrics for pass catching. Like like how many times he caught 3rd down passes, you know, when you're looking at those types of numbers, like when it's your team, you know, and I think DeAndre Swift fits that perfectly. We already have a little bit of a committee in the backfield there. And we didn't give him that much guaranteed money. We basically, it seemed like we gave him the going rate for running backs. It jumped a little bit up and down at different teams, but you know, the Packers signed Josh Jacobs. I think that's a great signing for them. The DeAndre Swift went to the Bears. Austin Ekeler went to the Commanders. That one felt a little bit like.
That's the one though. Like that's the one. If you're a Cowboy fan, that's the one that should piss you off the most, because he could
good. I think he's a little underrated.
2 years, really 11. It's not even that expensive either.
That's why it should piss you off the most. Like your biggest need on offense right now is obviously the running back position, and you have a guy who has been a perennial Pro Bowler like the last 4 years, who signs for no money and does everything that it would feel like the Dallas Cowboy offense would want. He's a great runner, but also he's a weapon out of the backfield in terms of pass catching. And he goes for, I think it was $3 million signing bonus, like for a 2-year, $11.4 million contract. That's it. Yeah. That's short money for a really good running back.
Yeah. I mean, you could sign him for that because of his injury history also, but you're basically gambling on it at the running back position every single time you get a guy. I was thinking about that when we were talking about it yesterday, because it's like running backs get hurt. It's like why their careers are like they only go till they're 26. It's like if they're lucky, you know what I mean? Like that's just what happens at that position. They get banged up. But Dallas, I mean, the only conclusion I can reach with their lack of spending any money on the backfield is that they're just going to let these contracts run out. Like they've given up on this iteration of the Cowboys team. They realize that their ceiling is losing to the 49ers in an NFC championship game, because it is. And they're like, okay, Dak Prescott takes up $60 million worth of cap space right now. And he's not the dude. So we have to let that contract run out. So sign some shitty free agents at the end of free agency to fill out the roster and essentially tank. That's why he kept McCarthy, because he's not a fucking idiot. Like Jerry Jones has been chopping and changing. And I mean, like his instincts might be bad, but his instincts aren't what he did this offseason. His instincts are usually like, all right, cut the fucking head off the snake. We'll start over. Like he's gone through 17 fucking iterations of coaches. And I think he's probably a little bit like, you know what? I'm paying this fucking Mike McCarthy guy out anyway. I don't want to buy him out of his contract, like, and have another, like, I'm sure they have what, 4 head coaches still on their payroll at this point, like from the past like 2 decades. So, you
No,
know,
it was just one really bad one for a long time.
are you still paying what's his name, the Clapper fella?
Probably, yeah, I would
Yeah,
think so.
I mean, like, that's, at some point you have to stop firing the mediocre coaches that you've hired, and you just go like, "Fuck it," like, "He sucks, and we can just tank this year." Like, we'll just start when, we'll rebuild again with our young guys, because those young guys you're gonna have to pick up options on, like, 4 guys on defense anyway, right? Like, you
Yeah.
have, like, 4 great guys on rookie contracts on defense, so you just say, like, "Okay, we're not gonna do anything before we get to that, so let's just shed the dead weight so we at least have money to pay those guys, and we'll start over." Essentially, you have to start over. I honestly think you might be headed for a tanking season if they haven't signed, just because they haven't signed a running back.
I mean, I don't. It seems on par for the course for me, man. This is what they do every goddamn year.
What would
Literally
you
every year.
What would you
There's
do with this? What would you do? This isn't what they do every year.
sign
Right.
sign anyone, bro. Everyone in the division so far has signed a running back except for the Cowboys. Literally everyone. The Commanders, the Giants. The Giants signed Montgomery and
No,
the
Devin Singletary.
Singletary. Yeah, they got Singletary.
Yeah.
And the Eagles got Barkley. Cowboys done nothing. And
All right,
it just
let me
seems
tell you
like
who's
this
left.
every year
Let me tell
it's
you
the
who's
most
left.
blatant need, and they just ignore it. Last year it was linebacker. They ignored it all fucking year. All fucking year. The other 2 years ago, wide receiver. Remember? Wide receiver. All I talked about all fucking year was we need a fucking wide receiver. Didn't fucking get one.
Let me
Yeah,
tell
I
you.
know.
Let
I
me
said
tell
it
you
was
who's
second
left.
best wide. I know.
Yeah. We know. We know. We
Yeah,
know.
I know. I know.
Let me tell you who's left. Notable names left on the board, because it's not all hope is not lost. But I'll tell you who's left, and I'll tell you who's good and who I don't think you should have. And then you can agree or disagree. Mike, jump in. J.K. Dobbins. I don't think that would be a terrible signing, but I don't.
He's never on the field. Always
Yeah,
hurt.
That's a problem. You could actually build a little bit of a committee and hope for the best around crossover injuries from who's left. But A.J. Dillon, who got released from the Packers, who I don't think is that good.
Yeah, he's strong though.
Dante Foreman, who I loved on the Bears, just for the record. I was mad that we didn't use him more. He would average like 4 yards a carry, like when we would actually run him, and it was infuriating to not watch him run, because he runs power, not like the way that we want to like teach our guys how to block. I get it, especially in a year where I just kind of wanted a higher like draft pick anyway. But I really liked him as a running back overall when I was watching the team try to win a game. So that could be someone. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who everyone said was going to be too small for the NFL, and it's too small for the NFL. So,
You missed one though.
Who?
Zeke.
Oh my
You want-
god.
You want to make Dak happy because they're like best friends. Bring him back. You know what?
Why do you want to make Dak happy?
Because they're gonna give him an extension here in the next year or so. They're gonna make him the highest paid quarterback, obviously, and for like the next 10 minutes. But I could see a committee like you just said with AJ Dillon and Zeke come in, and then like that's not awful, but you still had so many missed opportunities just with Ekeler. Like that's the one that the one move that would piss me off. And there's one for the Patriots that would piss me off too that we'll talk about.
What
in a few
happened
minutes.
exactly with Pollard? You couldn't try to match the offer with Pollard. I mean, he's already good.
I think I honestly don't have an answer for you. I wish I did, man. I love Pollard. You guys know I did. I wish he was still in the Cowboys. They don't have a fucking answer for you.
But there is, we give Jerry a lot of shit, but especially when he makes the decision to make the running back the highest paid player on his team. But like this is the opposite of that. Now it's just decided, well, I've done that before. I've had 50 million tied up between a running back and a wide receiver, and it got me.
But to your point,
12 and 4.
But to your point, you didn't even really have to pay any of these guys. Derrick Henry signed for $16 million. Like it just seems like a dereliction of duty, a Derrick Henry liction of duty. He was right there. He was right there. Just go give him $16 million, dude.
Yeah, man.
It's not that bad.
There really is no reason except for that they're cheap assholes, and they do this shit all the time, man. They're gonna sign if they sign running backs, they're gonna be like a 1-year contract, $3 million, $4 million. Deontay Foreman sounds about right. Someone like that, and they're probably gonna draft someone, and they're gonna try and tool together. They're like the fucking Red Sox of free agency. It's what they do, man. It's what they do. I'm telling you.
No, what? But I fucking hate that you make me do this. When was the last time that the Dallas Cowboys did not have a top 10 running back, regardless of whether they signed one or they drafted one?
It is true.
15 to 18
Yeah.
years ago,
So-
maybe for like a
So
season.
he hits on them. Like he finds those people, whether it's through
You think you're
free agency
drafting
or
running
draft.
back? You think you're drafting RB?
I think they're gonna draft a running back. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think your window's over. Sorry to say, I'm at least out on that team after that playoff display, and now looking at
Well, it's not like they gave up 48 points to the first 7 seed to ever win.
I just want you to remember that I really tried to be in on them. I really
know you did.
the old college try, and it was
know
because
you
I
did.
like their defense a lot, and I still do.
Sure.
But it's like there's too much dysfunction.
And then they're like,
I'm
you know,
already
we
dealing
should
with
try.
trauma.
Let's try zone defense for the first time all year in the
That was
playoffs.
really strange, bro. That was a really, really weird thing to do, and I'm not sure why they did that.
I don't know.
I was
There's guys running wide open all fucking night. It was just, dude. What's his name? Caught a pass and fell down. He was so open. He didn't know what the fuck to do. Dobbs. He fell down. He was like, "Oh,
Yep.
where the fuck is everyone?" And he just fell.
Well, nobody was within 20 yards of him. DK and I did a very in-depth analysis of that exact play.
so much camera time passed before a cowboy entered the frame. Like
This is
you, if
wild.
that
This
was
is fucking
if
football
that was a
ever.
movie, you would have thought he was eating alone in a restaurant.
Dude, he literally fell down. He's like, "Oh my god, where is everyone?"
Yeah, it was
Wow.
bad. It was bad. But hey, listen. It is what it is. So,
Hey,
moving
full
on.
circle. Good job.
Moving on. Other notable ones. You guys are good, right? Your backfield's good with what's his name, Mike. He's still
No, it's the best. With
Ramondre.
Stevenson,
Yeah.
and then with their third, they got like a third down back with Antonio Gibson,
Yeah.
3-year, $11 million contract. Now,
What are you
he's
gonna do
actually-
at QB, bruh?
Oh, dude, we have Jacoby Brissett, man.
Hey, what are you actually gonna do at QB, bruh?
I don't like. Okay, so either if they're gonna take either,
Drake May.
yeah, they're gonna take him, but that sucks because
I would much rather the LSU guy was on the board for you, to be honest.
yeah,
too.
I would
Me too,
much
man.
rather Jaden Daniels, but I would also just want to put this out on the airwaves. Please trade a 3rd round pick to the Bears for Justin Fields. Please.
Third rounder.
Man.
Yes.
A 3rd rounder.
He really thought he was
Yeah.
going to Atlanta. I can't believe he's not.
Yo, did you see the contract that they gave Kirk Cousins? Are they out of their fucking
Wild.
minds?
Wild.
Are they out of their
Wild.
fucking minds? Like, I feel like there's a weird national media focus on Kirk Cousins because he is like genuinely an elite regular season QB. Like he has elite regular season QB numbers. He's put up crazy seasons. And
Daytime.
I've never not been relaxed about my Kirk Cousins take because every time he has a great regular season, I'm just waiting for the playoffs. He's got one playoff win.
Yeah.
And like that Falcons team, I thought was if this was last season, I would have been like, oh shit. Like they're one Kirk Cousins away. But there's a shitload of dysfunction there, like beneath the surface. You can just see it. There's a lot of weird shit going on in Atlanta. They look stacked on paper, but they're giving me like win 11 games, but like then just fucking lose out vibes with Kirk Cousins up there. Plus, he's coming off of an ACL at his age. And they gave him
$100 million.
They gave him $100
guaranteed.
mil.
It reminds me a lot of Matt Ryan, to be honest. That whole Matt Ryan contract, that's their.
I feel like Matt Ryan, like, despite he made it to the fucking Super Bowl, dude. I mean,
He
like,
did. That's
Cousins,
true.
like-
It was after the Super Bowl he got that contract, right?
Sure did.
Like you
Yeah.
knew when Flacco got that fatty off of the Ravens that like that they were paying him for the Super Bowl that he won
Yeah,
that
he just won. Yeah,
retroactively.
agreed.
Not like
Agreed.
they were like, thank you for that. We're good. We won the championships. It's Baltimore. Fuck everybody. Here's a bag. And nobody really were that mad at it because it was like maybe he does fucking go off in the playoffs again. Like you don't know, I mean, he had the opposite season this last season. He did the opposite Flacco. He fucking lit it up in the regular season and then fucking flamed out. It's like, no, you used to do it the other way around. Remember? So yeah, you did because you never knew he might go on a run again. Kirk Cousins has never shown us that. And also,
Ever.
what happened? I mean, I got to do a little bit of a victory lap about the shit I talked about the Minnesota Vikings before this season and how it has all fallen apart in one season. It all just came crumbling fucking down in one season. I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do. Like, what's their alternative? They're easily going to be the 4th team in the NFC North, right? It has to be. They have to be at this point. They're not doing any. They haven't made any moves.
Yeah, they're a
Well, I mean,
quarterback now, right?
they got Aaron Jones. They signed Sam Darnold for what it's worth, but they
Oh, they
once
signed a defensive player that I wanted actually too.
Was it Jonathan Greenard?
Yeah,
the edge rusher.
yeah.
Yeah, so like they're bulking up their defense. They still have Justin Jefferson, and Aaron Jones is whatever you want to say about him.
He's a running back.
Yeah, he's a pretty good. Yeah, he's a running back, pretty good running back. And I don't know, they still won 7 games last year. Like if you really think about it, which this surprised me, Claire. I don't know where I heard it, but the Vikings always win 7 games. Like they're always in that middle of the road.
Sure.
Like they never bottom out.
There's a whole YouTube series video about it, how the Vikings are actually like the 3rd or 4th winningest team in NFL history, but they've never won a Super Bowl. So it's like, yeah,
but I'm here to tell you.
I'm here to tell you.
I'm here to tell you, the Bears were a fucking 7 to 10 win team for a long, long time, and it's not.
So the Cowboys. Yeah.
It's not fun, dude. It's like you're middle of the pack. You're cannon fodder. I'm having a much better time with the 1st overall pick on the horizon, whether it fucking pans out for me or not. Like the possibilities are endless, and the 9th. The possibilities are endless in Chicago. I mean, we could look completely fucking different come the start of the season. We're obviously drafting Caleb Williams. That's just happening. So he just has to be good. That's just all there is to it. Some Bears fans are mad that we haven't spent like crazy, but we got rid of Eddie Jackson and brought in Kevin Byard, which I thought was huge because Eddie Jackson was killing me all fucking season. Oh, last like 3 years, actually, to be honest with you. He couldn't fucking complete a tackle. He was always late to the party in the red zone. So we improved at safety. We signed Jalen Johnson, which I had as my number one. Re-signed him. I had as my number one priority going into the offseason because he was balling out, and he's just a good-ass cornerback, and those guys don't come around very often. But really, you just have to wait on Caleb Williams, and obviously DeAndre Swift, which we talked about. But we need
a sneaky signing for you, though, is giving help to Cole Kmet and getting Gerald Everett there.
Yeah. I think
from the Chargers. That could be good. Yeah, that could be good.
We definitely needed some load carrying for Cole Kmet because he was doing all the fucking work. And it was one of those signings where it's like we signed him and, immediately a stat comes out where it's like he had 45 catches last year, which is all of the rest of the Chicago Bears tight end room other than Cole Kmet combined. And I'm like, great. Like, that's the signing you want. You want to hear that. Those are the numbers you want to hear. Blocking, obviously. But our new offensive coordinator, I guess he runs a shitload of 3 tight end sets. That's like a thing. We also signed like the future Mac Jones, the locker room QB. We signed the QB in the hat. It's just
today. Brett Ripien.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Right. So he's going to be in there, and he knows the offense. So he's going to be in there just trying to be a good X's and O's guy with his hat on. We love having him around. He's a great. He's putting his arm around Caleb, and he's telling him how the NFL is, and they're hanging out. I guess that's what they tried to do with Justin and fucking Andy Dalton and what's his knuckle?
Big Dick Nick.
But they didn't get along. Like Fields was like, I fucking hate these guys. So you got to go get someone that works with your guy, bridge guy, and everybody talks about. I mean, I don't want a Justin Fields, Caleb Williams same QB room thing. I've just never seen that work out when it's like they're both kind of thereabouts. It's just gonna fuck with Caleb Williams, I think. But
you can't do that. You can't do that to either of them. You really can't.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not smart. It doesn't work. I think if it was Bill Belichick, I could see him being like, all right, Justin, you're kind of a hybrid tight end now. Deal with it. And it wouldn't fuck up the locker room somehow. But I don't think we're capable of that. So it's just
I don't know. Did you see the Patriots last year? Kind of
last year. Yes, he's lost a lot of his magic. But there was an era where he could do something like that, and they'd be like, well, fuck it worked. Yeah. Well, but no other team is allowed to do that. It's like when I was watching a thing where it's like Steven Spielberg, how he directs movies. He's like, I don't really do a shot list. I just kind of go into a room and I'm like, yeah, I think that camera can go there. And I was like, I work with a lot of people who direct things. And I'm like, Steven Spielberg can do that. You can't do that. All right. You need to make a fucking shot list, and we need to think ahead on what we're going to do, or the whole fucking day is going to go to shit. So that being said, Justin Fields needs to get the fuck out, and it's
third round pick.
Third round pick I would take right now. I would take
Perfect.
that right now. I think the Bears are being smart though. I think this new regime is patient, which is I think like good. I think you need to be patient when you have this pick because it's like they're like I don't know, we haven't worked them out yet. We're gonna work them out. We're gonna like talk to them. We're gonna see what kind of vibes we get, guys. And I'm like, yeah, I mean that's honestly what you have to do. They're like we're not open to trading Justin Fields yet, which could be a lie. But if it is a lie, it's a good lie. It's a good PR lie. It does kind of retain some of the stock back where it's like, oh, no, we haven't worked out Caleb Williams yet, so we're not open to trade offers yet. That's smart. So that's what you say. Just we'll see where the stock is. Because everybody immediately decided the market was cool. What if we do get a 4th or a 3rd round pick for him? Like, then everybody fucking eats crow, right? I was hoping 2nd, but I think that ship has sailed.
So were the Bears.
Yeah, I know. That would have been great. I do think we're going to get that Odunze guy from, I forget where he plays. But I think we're going to draft him 9th for wide receiver help. So that'll be cool. What else happened? What else? What other?
Mac Jones got traded.
Oh yeah, where's Mac?
He did.
Wearing a baseball cap now.
Jags now, right?
Interesting.
Yep.
So is he QB1 there?
No, come on.
He's behind
Trevor Lawrence.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, back up to
Of
Lawrence.
course,
So.
of course.
Yeah,
Oh, he's
What
the
did they
back.
get? A six rounder. I feel like that's high.
Oh, that's a
What did-
steal.
What did I say? Like
Steal,
what did
right?
I say? Like right around. What did I say? Right around like week
Right
5?
around. I was gonna say right around Labor Day. You said that he's gonna be He's gonna have an NFL job. As one of the guys that has like a visor or a hat on the sidelines holding the clipboard. Yeah.
I hope
For,
he's
like,
not a
the next
visor
10 years-
guy.
for like the next 10 years, huh?
Yeah, well, that'd be
Yeah.
good. That's a good career if you ask me.
Good paycheck.
Yeah.
I just saw what he was that week. But I'll tell you this. I am gonna clip the first time they say we love having Mac around. He knows the playbook. He's a really good X's and O's guy. I can't wait for that moment.
He really helped. He really helps Trevor get ready.
Oh,
every
yeah,
week. He
yeah,
really
yeah,
helps him
yeah,
out get ready
yeah.
every week.
Yeah. Those guys are great pals. They're great pals. That's a big one.
No animosity at all. No animosity.
How
But
about
can I talk?
Russ going to the Steelers? Any interest? Any biting there? Anything? You guys think it's a good signing? I mean,
I
Kenny-
think
yeah,
he could beat out Pickett, right? For sure.
he I think already has beat out Pickett.
Yeah, the fact that
Yeah.
that's not even a real thing. They're just saying that to not destroy Kenny Pickett in the national media, but it's Russell Wilson's job already. Like, it has
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah, I thought that maybe you guys can fill me in with some if you know more about what happened than I do, but I thought the way that Peyton and Russ like blew up was really like bizarre and sudden and like kind of like came out of nowhere for me. Like I thought they were doing better as like a whole, as like a team. And then that
They
weird
were.
shit happens that like he screams at him basically like on TV and then benches him. And then they came and said some shit to him about like waiving like an injury clause or something in his guaranteed money. And he was like, no, he claims. And then they were like, we're waiving you. So I was like, what the fuck? Like that all happened really quickly. Like they look like the relationship might work out. And then it all just went to shit in like 5 seconds. Is Sean Payton a little bit of a fucking hothead? What happened there?
I don't know.
Also,
man.
he just thinks he's the greatest one of the greatest coaches of all time because he coached Drew Brees in a dome. So like he's an offensive guru. That's what he is.
Do you think that if teams play in domes that they're pussies?
I mean, that's just generally.
I feel that way. I feel that way as a non-dome like weather-based team, and the Bears are talking about building a fucking dome off this lake, and I'm like, you better not fucking dome, dude.
The
Like,
lake.
it's that
You can't. The Bears can't have a dome, bro.
No, we can't have
that
it.
seems sacrilegious.
because the
You can't do
fucking
that.
Vikings have a dome, dude, and everybody's like, you guys are fucking soft. You know,
But the NFL desperately wants to host a Super Bowl in Chicago. So like
Okay,
that's
but-
why.
okay, but could we like make some sort of agreement where it's like, yeah, we have the dome because we spent like a bunch of investors got together and we spent $89 billion on a dome, but it's also a mall or whatever, like the fucking Patriot Place model.
Would you
Yeah.
be okay with the retractable roof?
That's what I'm
I think
saying. That's where I was
Yeah.
going. I was like, but we have to be a weather team. We have to stay a weather team.
Yeah.
And like then I could spin it in my head of like looking at Minnesota and being like, we could put the dome up, but we're not fucking sucking. Like that's what I want from like as long as that's in that should be in the fucking contract. As long as that's in the contract, I'm good. But yeah, like can you guys imagine like as far as we've fallen as a franchise, you guys, I mean, that would be the last fucking straw, wouldn't it? If we became a fucking dome team, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that'd be it. That'd be it, man. That'd be it.
That would fucking depress
But-
me.
The thing about, but hold on, the thing about Russ to the Steelers is, yeah, he's 35, and I think we all look back at the 2022 season as like the most recent thing of Russell Wilson.
I think Ray
But
just
he
jinxed
put,
him that year. I think he's
but he
funny.
put up 26 touchdowns, 8 picks last year and 3,000 yards
Bad.
passing.
He honestly wasn't bad. He wasn't bad.
Right?
In the meat of the season, he really wasn't terrible. What if
And
they
like
started actually scheming for him, like, and how he plays, like, instead of just letting him get like fucking destroyed in the pocket, like, because he was sitting in there for like way too long because the plays were taking too long to develop. I mean, Peyton did talk a lot of shit about that coaching staff, but it wasn't like it wasn't warranted,
right.
you know.
But I mean, he's going to a Pittsburgh Steelers offense who have 26 passing touchdowns combined in the past 2 years.
Yeah, it can't get much worse. I don't like them losing Deontay though. You know what I mean? Them losing Deontay might I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what they're gonna do? They're just gonna go draft a wide receiver.
Draft another one and
round,
find another
and he's
fucking
gonna be freaking sick, dude.
Maybe a former quarterback who is fast. And
exactly. Like
I'll
when the day that stops happening, like that's when I'll believe it won't happen again. You know what I mean? Like there's not a ton I can do about that. And they signed what's his name? Patrick Queen. They gave him 3 years, $41 million. He just became their best linebacker.
Yeah,
if you don't think of TJ Watt as a linebacker, I don't. I think of his
no.
He's an edge rusher. He's edge. Yeah, he's edge.
I mean, it says linebacker on his like fucking stat sheet, but it's one of those weird like hybrid linebackers where he blitzes every single time, so he's not backing the line exactly.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, like that's a beefy defense, dude. I feel like I'm curious to see what they do with their backfield because I think Warren's way better than fucking what's his name? Najee Harris.
Najee Harris is so much better.
Najee Harris like can't read the holes. Like he doesn't see where the holes are. Like
he misses it.
I see them and I'm like, and it's like he chooses wrong like every time.
He bounces towards it and then bounces away from it.
Yeah. I always see him like about to hit it. And I'm like, okay, explode through. And then he'll go like, just like fall over after like a yard. Some of that, they were in that difficult position last season where it was like, how much of this is Matt Canada is actually as stupid as everyone thinks he is, and how much of it is personnel. Like it was kind of hard to tell, but all of the Steelers fan base was like, it's fucking Matt Canada, and then like they fired him and they got way better. So
it was definitely Matt Canada. He was really bad, man.
But there's a long hole to fucking dig out of. I think that was probably one of the all-time worst offenses I've ever watched in a singular season. So yeah, you're right. The only way to go is up, and their defense got them in the fucking playoffs with an all-time bad offense, an all-time fucking terrible offense. So you never know with those fuckers. That's something. The Commanders are doing weird shit because it's like, why did they get rid of Chase Young and Montez Sweat just to like start signing other linebackers and interior players for like similar money? Like I'm not really sure what they're trying to do over there.
I never know what they're fucking trying to do, man. They're so half in and half out. Like
that's what it is. They're fucking half in and half out all the time.
Always, man. You know what I mean? And it's like they always like even with Heineke, I always wondered why they got rid of him. It was like you're gonna Sam Howell is now the starting quarterback. I was like, okay, it doesn't seem you know what I mean? It never seemed logical to me. Like they're actually heading in a direction. It always seemed like they're staying on the same fucking playing field. You know what I mean?
They're gonna take Jaden Daniels at 2.
Yeah,
probably.
So
probably true. That's true.
I think I might have Burrow syndrome, but I just feel like the LSU quarterback, like just something in my head. Like when when the LSU guys come in, I kind of want him because I try to reject that logic of like, well, and the good guys never come out of USC, but I'm like, there is something sexier about the LSU quarterback in your head right now, just in general. I hope nobody takes that kid from Michigan because that's obviously a college football career. Like that's just so clearly a college football career to me. And I'm like, you should. I hope you get paid, but I hope you ride off into the fucking sunset. But get yourself an accountant and say, how do I live on my contract forever? Because that's what you're gonna get. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. The fucking Bills, you must be happy about, Mike. There's a fire sale going on in Buffalo. Like I don't know what they did. Their contracts are so weirdly. If you look at like the way that their dead cap money just caught up to them this season, if they want to actually make any sort of moves, like they had to really like go in and do a fucking Sweeney Todd on their roster. And all those guys got snapped up right away. So even the guys I hadn't heard of that got cut from Buffalo and that fucking culling that happened on Monday, they immediately signed with other teams. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, I think I guess he's 54 million good or whatever, like whatever was happening with these contracts. And I was like, a lot was going on. Shit was flying. We're like left, right, and center for over the past couple of days. So what do you make of that? Your division getting a little weaker, but maybe not because the Dolphins are having a sneaky good for you.
Yeah.
So
I just think like we've been talking about this on the show for like 2 years. Stephon Diggs needs help, and what do? They trade Gabe Davis.
Dude, yeah, I didn't know.
Good move for him.
Like, what the fuck? What do you? Yeah, of course, but like, what are you doing? What like that organization? Like their window could be closed.
Yeah,
I truly believe it.
I think it might be.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But I think you could build another window around Josh Allen. You have to just keep him. But try again.
What has he done to prove to you that's true?
Okay, ready? I'm going to tell you. First, he was born, and then he became 9 feet tall, and he ran like a fucking 4.5 40, and that's what he's done. So there's too much fucking raw potential there. I'm Daniel Plainview at the start of There Will Be Blood. And he is the oil well that I've found because it's the black blood of the earth. And we're going to make millions on this guy's raw fucking talent. You can fix the shit that's wrong with him. You can. You just got to get the right guy that's in to get in there.
I just feel like you look at Josh Allen in such a different light than you look at Justin Herbert, and they're the same.
I have always been high on Herbert.
But you think he's a choker.
Herbert.
If you switch them, do you think Herbert has the same career that Allen's had? I don't know if he. I don't know, man.
I think Herbert goes farther if you switch them. If you give him weapons, and I think that Herbert, and I think I've always said this, was a victim of a very dumb coaching room.
Maybe the worst.
Very dumb coaching room.
Yeah, maybe the worst.
I don't think it's fair to judge him yet. That's put him over Trevor Lawrence. I have Herbert over.
I
Trevor
do too. Yeah,
Lawrence
for sure. For sure.
Yeah, which I don't think that we're all in consensus of that. I don't think that's a consensus. I think smart money right now has moved over to fucking the hillbilly. So we'll see. You know,
sunshine.
Yeah, sunshine. Yeah, he does look like sunshine. Just that
exactly. He is. It's who he is, bro. He's sunshine.
But yeah, I mean, like he's down there in that swamp. That's another thing. I feel like I'd rather be playing where Herbert is. You know, I'd rather see that franchise sort of come to fruition. There's money there. There's a market there. Yeah. You know, Jacksonville, it's like you got to be really good to make anyone give a shit about you. So, like,
right.
I literally forgot he existed when we were talking about Mac Jones. I was like, oh yeah, of course, like one of the best.
QB1.
He's already down there. But I forget about them because, like, I don't know what they're doing on the fucking bayou, dude. That's a flyover state for me. I'm sorry. I'm a coastal.
Florida.
Yeah, I fly right over that shit. Going to Jamaica or some fucking shit.
I'm really confused by like the whole Gabe Davis Calvin Ridley swap too. Like I don't know what they were doing there. Like I know you're upset about Calvin Ridley. I know.
How big was Calvin Ridley's contract that he just got? That happened today, right?
Huge, dude.
Yeah.
It was
92 million.
That's 4 years.
Doesn't that explain
absurd,
it? Man. Doesn't that explain it to you? Because Gabe Davis costs nothing, really.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Yeah,
I really like Gabe Davis. I don't think that Calvin Ridley's that much better than Gabe Davis. To you?
No, not 4 years, 92 million better. That's for sure.
Are they both wide receiver twos? Like they're probably
Gabe got 3 for 30. Wow. Yeah, I guess the gap's not that big. All right, that's fair. That's fair.
Oh, is it not?
Gabe Davis got 3 for 39. Ridley got 4 for 92. So the gap's.
You know what? The cap has gone up, so we have to adjust in our minds what these guys are all getting. The cap's gone up, so everything got inflated. And I had somebody on Reddit like spell this out to me when I was a little nervous about what we gave DeAndre Swift. But it's like what it really hits over the 3 years, like it's like $6 million a year, like the way it like all kind of fleshes out or whatever. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah, we like with how much cap space we actually have, I think it's fine. But that does seem expensive for both of them, actually. 3 years, $39 million for Gabe Davis. Like, when did that stop being wide receiver one money? You know, like your mid-tier wide receiver ones were getting that. I feel like not that long, right? Like
D-Hop.
Yeah.
D-Hop with Arizona probably.
Yeah,
But and
he's high tier. I feel like he's upper tier.
But then like Tyreek Hill came along and all these dudes came along. Those dudes are getting like 100 million at this point.
I know.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, man.
But I mean, you said like the Dolphins have a sneaky good free agency so far. I think
I'm only basing that on the fact that Tyreek Hill tweeted that, so I'm just taking him at his word.
It's a good guy to take his word. You know,
I think the winners so far for me are the Titans and the Texans.
The Titans are good,
it's
but they fired
Yep.
Vrabel, and everyone decided that was the dumbest thing you could ever do in a million years. And they seem
could be.
They seem to be being pretty smart in the free agency. I don't know.
you get
he didn't get a job, so who knows how smart? Smart or not smart. Well, you know what I mean. Maybe
Right.
there's stuff behind the scenes that we didn't even fucking know about.
Why didn't he get the job in fucking New England? That's really
know.
bizarre.
They wanted
Kraft-
Mayo from day one. I think. Yeah.
well that and Kraft already promised Mayo the money, so if he didn't hire him, he's
How
not going to pay him
long-
to not do a job.
How long does Gerard Mayo get in that job before Vrabel takes his job? Because there's a factor of him sitting there, like the Vrabel shadow is sitting there.
3 years.
Years?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Years.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time to give a completely unproven head coach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that the offseason that we've had so far, it's like the polar opposite of what it was 3 years ago when we spent like the $250 million, and that as I said on this show, like I love the signings, but it proves like when teams do that they get like 3 more wins that first year and then they go off a fucking cliff years 2 and 3. That fucking happened. And I think they're going to probably carry over like 30 million of cap space into next year, and then probably sign once they see.
Well, you got to
this
see.
team
You
can
got
do.
to see what you got to see. I think the Bears are doing the same thing as the Pats, which I think is the right thing to do. Which is like don't spend until you see if you have C.J. Stroud or you have Bryce Young. You know what I mean? Like that's because like you and I are in the you and I are in the same boat. Like we're basically like. I almost think one is a little bit of a kick in the dick because you kind of get forced to take the consensus guy. You just do. And like, it's just not always the consensus guy. Sometimes it's the guy from LSU. Like it's never going to be the guy from Michigan, but you know what I mean? So it's like you and I are picking from the same pool here. And you're right. You do have to wait a year, I think, to see what you have at the QB position before you essentially say, okay, let's spend to put around this guy. That being said, you guys still need. Did you sign a wide receiver?
Fuck yeah, dude! We re-signed Kendrick Bourne and Jalen Reagor.
Oh, making moves.
Yeah, but the one move, there are 2 moves that I actually like. Obviously, I like the Antonio Gibson one, but another sneaky move is that we signed Austin Hooper as a tight end 2, which I actually like. Like he's been. Whatever, like you hear his name like 5 times a year, and those are all for fantasy implications because those are the 5 touchdowns he has all season. But I think he's going to be fine, and I don't know. I mean, I think that this team is obviously going to lack offensive firepower. Ideally, my dream scenario is still that. Oh God, help me out here. Who's your quarterback? I just had a fucking
Justin Fields.
Stroke. Yeah, it's still Justin Fields, but. I think you can find.
It's like a couple year long fantasy we have in life.
Yeah, no, I think you can still find like a top wide receiver in the second round, though. I mean, it's wide receiver heavy. That's what everyone keeps saying this year.
It is. You could probably draft wide receivers like well into the 5th round and still get somebody pretty decent. So I agree, but there's also a fuck ton of wide receivers on the market right now that I like. That are proven bets. And I think that, like, for me, I want the Bears to draft one of the next few guys. Like, Curtis Samuel, I would take. KJ Osborne, I would take.
I like Curtis Samuel.
Donovan Peoples-Jones,
Mike Williams.
I would take.
Mike Williams is someone that I don't know if I love him.
Never on the field.
But I was going to say, I don't know if I love
Why
him.
he got
when
released.
He is on the field. You have to pay attention. Well, and he was a $20 million cap hit.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's a top draft pick. That's why.
Would you take Odell?
Yeah. As a wide receiver 3. Yeah. Well,
that's what I'm talking. I feel like all these guys are wide receiver 3s.
So Patriot wide receiver 1s is what you're saying.
Well, in my Bears fantasy, I have DJ Moore as the wide receiver 1. Whoever we draft as our wide receiver 2, I think it'll be a Dunze. And I don't know, like, yeah, probably a Curtis Samuel as a wide receiver 3. I think that's a decent little room right there, to be honest with you, to, like, really evaluate, because that's the thing. You can't what you guys did, and I think this is the dumbest thing that you did when trying to build around the Mac Jones. This is the big egregious error of the Bill Belichick era with Mac Jones. You can't have the conversation be happening where it's like, well, how do you know? Like, the offensive line and the weapons are terrible. And like, you need to put in today's NFL, you have to put a quarterback in a position where you can fairly analyze his game. I think that's like pretty fair, right?
You gotta have a semblance of an offense. It
Yes.
can't be
Yes.
right. You know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah.
can't be one that can't fucking move the
Even
ball.
CJ Stroud, like, they got 2 diamonds in the rough on offense, and they hooked them up. Like, what's that guy's name?
Yeah, I know exactly who you're fucking
Tank
talking
Dell.
about.
Tank Dell.
Yeah,
For some reason, I kept thinking Tank Johnson because my head is always thinking about the 2006 Bears. But Tank Dell. He came out of nowhere. It was like they look like fucking Deshaun and the kid who always got hurt. Wow, I can't remember anyone's name today. The kid who always got hurt for Deshaun that like first year. What was his name?
Will Fuller.
Yeah, Mike,
Oh,
you're fucking
yeah.
coming through. Come through. Will Fuller the 4th, right?
That's right.
But
Might be the 5th.
yeah, but like, you know,
it was the 4th. It was IV, so it was the 4th.
yeah, it was
I
that.
remember.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But anyway, your point being, you have to give him something to fucking work with before you can accurately judge if he's good or not.
They did in year 1. They did. Like, you had Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, you had Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers, like, and they went 10-7, and Mac was a Pro Bowler that year.
Yo, I'm not trying to be like a contrarian for the sake of it, but I don't think you listed any names just there that I think are good. Like, I really don't think any of
Well,
this guy.
Hunter Henry's the best. It was the best available tight end on this market this year. We re-signed him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
Not bad.
He's
No,
fine.
he's good.
Yeah, no, that's everyone on that list is fine. That's what it is.
They're
They're
fine,
all
yeah,
fine.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
fine.
they're all fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like, no one's jumping off the page.
You got a
And the thing
room
was-
full of wide receiver 3s. You got a
Yeah,
fucking
that's
room full of wide receiver 3s, and that's been your problem for about 3 or 4 years now.
that first year though. It was McDaniels, right?
Yeah,
that-
but it
So,
was, I mean,
so it actually was an offense. Like, you can say what you want about McDaniels, man, but that guy
Yeah.
can run a fucking offense. Like, you
Yeah.
know, there's definitely gimmicks and there's definitely shit that pisses you off, but it's an offense that has been proven to fucking work in the NFL.
Yep.
The next year, you get Bill O'Brien and like whatever the
no,
fuck was going on.
No, it was Patricia and Joe Judge.
Patricia. Oh, okay. So, yeah, exactly. And then last year it was O'Brien, and you saw what would happen. And it's just like when you actually give this dude a fucking offense to work with, that's when something happened. And it's exactly
But it's
what
not
happened.
sustainable. Like, to DK's point, though, it's not sustainable to spend $250 million just to win 10 games and get blown out by the Bills. You know, like, you can't
Right.
do that all the time.
Right, but that's why I have that sneaking suspicion that's what the Cowboys are about to do ritual suicide. They're gonna do a fucking samurai's death. They're gonna fucking stab their own guts out and get their heads chopped off because they can't beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. And that's
What
just
do you
the
mean?
way it is.
They can't get to an NFC Championship game.
But
God
but
damn
they
it.
know that even if they do, and we know this, they know that even if they do, the 49ers are gonna be there and they're gonna fucking behead them. Like, or maybe for some reason you see the 49ers even sooner than that. Like, it's you can see that the 49ers, regardless of the fact that they just lost in the Super Bowl, yes, there might be a Super Bowl hangover. Personnel wise, like, they're good for another 5 to 7 years. So if you're Dallas, like, you know, this is their conference right now. So if you're Dallas, it's like, well, I think you cut your losses. I think you cut your losses with Dak Prescott. I think you cut your
The
losses.
defense is so
everybody.
good, though. It's so
Yeah.
sad, man.
Yeah, and I think that you can build around that defense. You know, I think that you have young guys that you sew them up, you lock them up, you make them part of the culture that you're building there. You got to get a Dan Campbell in there right now, Bobby. That's what you need.
I fucking know. I know.
You need a Lions type.
That's why I want
experience.
Vrabel. I want a no bullshit coach to come in there and just fucking
That'd be a great signing for them.
cut
When
some
you-
shit off.
Don't you think, Mike? I think he would be
Yeah.
perfect. He could bring
100%.
a culture in there, like, because honestly, you guys are a bunch of fucking pussies. That's your
Bunch of
problem.
pussies, bro.
Like,
Bunch of
like,
pussies.
that's your
I
fucking
couldn't
problem.
agree
Like,
more. Couldn't fucking agree more.
It's always because they're soft. Like,
agree
they
more.
they always fold like a cheap fucking hooker. You know,
Yeah, every fucking year.
like Vrabel needs to. Vrabel's the type of guy that's gonna grab them and drag them over the fucking line because like they're going to
100%.
get them there, but he'll drag them over the fucking line because the Lions didn't build from nothing. They had like a little bit of a core. They made a couple of trades, and then it was 2 free agencies before they were going to the NFC Championship game. So it's not inconceivable to build around a good young core on either side of the ball if you have the right coach in there. But the fact that they left fucking McCarthy in there boggles my mind. Like if you were in Mike or I's position, I could understand it, right? Because we have the luxury. Like I wanted to get rid of Eberflus, like granted, but it seemed like he had the locker room together, and it seemed like he was a good like coach of individual players. And where we are right now, we don't necessarily need the guy to come in and like, make that leap, make that last 2-season Dan Campbell leap or whatever. Now I have my problems with him and how he calls a game. Like that's a completely different conversation that we've had, and I'm sure we will have again. But culturally, he made the Lions like a real team. Like we associate them with a little bit of grit and toughness and resilience. I think would be probably their.
It's like even when they were 0-8, even when they were 0-8 that first season, everyone was still talking about how they were a tough beat, how it was. You know what I mean? They were
But it's about what the culture you have there is dictating, and it's like. Mike and I are now back in the fetus stage of a football team, so we can grow up to be anything, But your fetus already grew up to be Hitler, and we got to shoot Hitler and get a new fetus in there. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because like we can't do that.
Mike McCarthy to Hitler, bro. That's a job.
I'm just saying it's an example of a fetus that didn't work out. A fetus, fetus that didn't come to fruition in a positive way. So
I understand.
It's honestly it's the same point I was making about being a 7-10 win team. It's the walking death. You're alive, but you're dead anyway, because you know exactly where your team is. The Vikings were a good example of it. I think Matt Ryan and the Falcons, like post Super Bowl, kind of went through that stupor. I think there was a bunch of like regular season winning Peyton Manning teams that really just couldn't. You just always knew they weren't quite there, for whatever reason on either side of the ball. And like, that's a fate worse than death, because I'm telling you, you just execute everybody and you start fresh. All you got to do is endure one laughably bad season. You have those anyway. So just fucking lose a shitload in the fucking regular season and be at least in the conversation about the fucking top 5 picks, because me and Mike are having a great time up here. If the world is our oyster right now, anything could happen. We could draft the next Joe Montana, or we could draft the next Dak Prescott. You just don't know. But anyway, it wasn't the fact that they drafted Dak. It was the fact that they gave him more money than God.
Yeah, the money that was such a bad con. We all knew it.
You knew it at the time.
As soon as we had to do it. It was one of the.
I think
we had that with Cutler. It happened to us with Cutler. I was like, he's not the dude, but we got to give him this fucking.
Gotta do it.
We don't have a choice.
Who the fuck else are you gonna sign at that point that's anywhere close to Dak Prescott? There isn't anyone.
I just want to point out that we are literally 13 weeks removed from Bobby telling us that Dak Prescott is in the top 10% of NFL quarterbacks.
But then you guys listen. It's not like I was alone on that. Like Dak was.
Oh no, you were.
No,
I don't know if I was, man. He was.
No, I think
front runner for like
I think
3
it
weeks,
requires,
man.
I think it requires the delineation and nuance to say, and we can do this as reasonable people, to say that there is a difference between the guy who's playing the best statistically in the regular season and the guy who you can just tell is not one of the top 10 QBs in the NFL. Like, and I don't think you were ever that bullish. Like you had kind of gotten hit a couple of times already. So I think he came in, he was like
so up and down in the season. Yeah.
But Mike, I mean, he did agree with me that the fucking QB play last season was piss fucking poor. And we saw Patrick Mahomes just go win his probably easiest, or like not easiest, but like weakest team chip, because he was Patrick Mahomes. Like that's
he literally jogged to a Super Bowl, bro. He didn't like, break a sweat all he played.
Let's be honest, like he played fucking Brock Purdy in the fucking Super Bowl, dude. And Brock Purdy was good enough again to be a QB that made it to the Super Bowl. Like the QB play last season was piss poor. So yeah, Dak Prescott was definitely a top 10 QB last year. Like he just was. That says
he didn't say top 10, top 10%. So top 3 is what Bobby said. We have that on video and audio.
That might have been extreme. It might have been
right.
But hey, I live and die by my team. We know this. Everyone knows this.
No, I can appreciate that.
Can we talk about
Burrow
Houston
was
Texans?
hurt. Burrow was hurt.
No, we can't.
Burrow was hurt, and like the second best QB last season was
Yeah,
probably
man. The
CJ
quarterback play
Stroud,
last year
dude.
was really bad.
It was
dude.
probably
It was really
CJ
bad.
Stroud was probably number 2. Best.
Listen, Dak was literally MVP frontrunner for like
From weeks
like
4 through 7.
No, it was like
Lamar.
week 30. It was after that Seattle game, so it was like week 13.
Dude, Lamar was always going to win MVP though. If you
He
count.
was always going to win. Remember all of a sudden,
Like,
Vegas
it kind of
dropped
feels
the
like
odds and they're
stupid
like,
that we didn't
minus-
just bet that.
minus 75 million.
Yeah, we probably should
Fuck
bet
was.
that at the start of the season, like right away. And we also,
Okay.
like, if me and Mike had to bet our prediction picks, we would have done so good. Like, we would have cleaned
bad.
up, dude. I think we
If I-
got to put money behind those.
If I had bet CJ Stroud for Rookie of the Year,
Yeah, that
I
was
would've-
yours.
I
That
would've
was
done it.
yours.
Yeah,
That was
man.
there. That was there. That was sitting right in your pocket. You know
It
what?
really was, man.
You're surrounded by negative people like me and Mike that like make you feel like your takes aren't good enough. And honestly, we drag you down. And
No, I never want to. I never want to do that. I just want to hold you accountable for the takes that you make.
Oh, you do, don't you
That's it.
worry. You do.
I mean, to be fair, TBF.
there could be 99 great takes in there. You can bring them all up, Mike. But remember that one fucking take you had? You remember that one?
To be fair, I mean, we
do.
beat Mike with the Aaron Rodgers is going to suck
We do.
this take for like 3 years, but I would wanted him to be right. So it sounds like a little bit of a different thing. I was like, yeah, do you think so, Mike? Great, tell me more. Anyway, what do you think the Jets are going to look like next year? On that note,
You just don't want to talk about the team that I want to talk about.
wait, who?
The Texans.
Oh, they're spending some money, huh? Yeah,
They got Joe
They're having a-
Mixon,
yeah,
and,
they're
and,
having a
and
good
their
offseason.
and like their weakest point in the all of last year was the.
Why'd they get rid of Mixon?
was-
Why'd the Bengals get rid of Mixon? Do they know something I don't know?
I think they just didn't want to pay him. His contract
didn't
was
wanna pay
coming
him.
up, wasn't it? Yeah, his contract was coming up, I think.
He didn't look amazing in a contract year.
Yeah, he didn't look that great last year. It was definitely his worst year yet, for sure.
In a
He
contract,
looked explosive, you know?
yeah.
The Texans have signed or re-signed a total of 4 corners, a safety, 2 edge rushers, and a fucking defensive lineman. Like they're going all in, and that's D'Amico Ryan that has his hands all over it.
I think that's really smart of them because they have a
Right.
really good QB that made honestly an objectively bad roster look like a genuine playoff team. That's
That's what I mean.
what QB is.
Joe
I'm a little
Mixon
worried
is-
about a sophomore slump though.
But he's instantly his best weapon. You know what I mean? Like, I guess Tank Dell kind of is, but we really don't know how he's going to come back from
Well,
injury. But like
he
Joe
doesn't-
Mixon's instantly the best weapon CJ
Stroud
Stroud's
doesn't
had
need,
so
Stroud
far,
doesn't
you know?
need to be the one that wins you the game by
Right.
hook, by crook anymore. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that like, you know. But I also wonder, I would want, and I said this with Fields, and I think we've seen other examples of this. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I would want to maintain the freedom and improvisational nature of Stroud's game while still getting better with the players around him. Like, I
Yeah.
still want to make sure he's like rolling out of the pocket and like, you know, stepping up and moving and like, you know, the play's broken down, but he's like, you know, pump faking a guy and then like lobbing it over, dude. Like, it not just because it's fun to watch, just because I think guys like Stroud are at their best when they play like that. And I think
Yeah.
I think that if you try to make him now, I'm not saying it can't be done or like, you know, players don't change their games after season, you know, for season 1 or season 2. And I'm not saying you shouldn't protect him. You know, you do it on purpose. You create situations where he like moves into space and beats you from there, right? Like the
Yeah,
best
sure.
example being, I think Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll figured out how to do this really well to the point of like winning Super Bowls. I think you have to, I hope Ryans is smart enough to say like, yeah, I still want I want to retain the dynamism that is CJ Stroud's reading of the game and like, I don't want him to get overcoached. I don't want him to get over personnel. You know what I mean? Especially not in year 2 or 3. I think that there might come a time where you say like, kind of like Lamar, where you say like, okay, but you need to be able to do X, Y, and Z. But I think Stroud's already way ahead on those metrics. I think he's already like his arm talent is already going to get him to that point, you know, and because I think he reads the game super well. So if you try to hold on too tight, you know, but I think that they're spending money in the right places, namely get him a line to protect him and then get him a defense. Get him a defense so that if he is doing enough to win you a game, that you don't blow it. You know, like that. Lamar had that problem for years. So, yeah, I like the Texans next year. I think they're going to be fun to watch. They're going to be fun for fantasy football purposes.
Wholeheartedly.
For sure. I really like Mixon catching passes out of the backfield for him too, because I feel like that was always a big stressor for him. You know what I mean? When it comes to, Stroud and getting the pressure in the backfield, that was always huge for them because how did he always go down every week? Is when he got sacked 4, 5, 6 times. So having Mixon to be able to dump out of the backfield, because that's where he's really dynamic out of. You know what I mean? So
I also wonder.
that's-
I don't know Mixon's personality at all, or like what how he plays the game. But I just wonder if you have a really experienced guy in your backfield behind Stroud saying, "Hey, this is what Joe Burrow does. You might be good at that too if you want
right.
to."
Yeah.
And I think like even just 2 or 3 of those little helpful tips might too. Because if you add a little Joe Burrow to CJ Stroud's game, I think that's a pretty natural fit. To be quite honest with you,
That's it, man. That's it.
I think that I'm excited to see where he goes from here. I hope he doesn't have a slump. Was that enough? Was that enough talk about the Texans, Mike? I mean,
Yeah, I'm happy.
I think they earned it. I do. I think that they earn. I think they earn a place at the table of these conversations. Any other huge? Oh, Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. I mean, they look a little weird to me. They are stacked on paper, but what do you coming off that ACL? What do you guys make of that?
Well, I mean, what was the biggest thing last year, right? Falcons quarterback play. Every fucking week, man. It was every week Desmond Ridder was turning the fucking ball over 4 or 5 times. So, I mean, if you get Cousins in there, if he's actually recovered and he can actually play football.
I think they do
Actually,
a good team, right? Like I pushed for us to put them kind of high last prediction show, Mike, because I thought.
Yeah. Well, it's funny though, because like, I know you were talking to Mike, but my bad.
No. I was just telling him. I was just
Yeah.
telling him again that if you remember, we won that prediction show because we.
Yeah, no,
good
we
calls.
remember. Yeah, we remember.
4-0.
But thanks.
1-0.
What?
Lucky underdog. I just got here, but I started well.
Kyle Pitts and fucking Bijan are there, right? So
Right.
you have we saw what Cousins going to do with weapons. We've seen it before, and now we're actually going to have a coach. I don't even fucking remember who they hired, but it's not Arthur Smith. So you're going to have a coach that's actually going to use these guys or like try and actually like game plan for them. So like I think it might work. I'm intrigued to see how it works because I mean I think the league's better when the Falcons are good. The Falcons are good. I really think the league is a better place.
Yeah, it's like the biggest struggle that the Falcons had all year last year was the inability for the quarterback to hit the ball downfield. So they solved that with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins running backs under Kirk Cousins have Pro Bowl years every single year. I don't know why, but they do. So you that should help Bijan. You get Drake London. They just signed Darnell Mooney for 3 years, $39 million, which is absurd for him, by the way.
That's not.
That's wild. Why?
Can I just tell you from
that's absurd. It's so
experience, from firsthand experience, that's
remember when he was your wide receiver 1? That was probably fun.
But Curtis Samuel and Tyler Boyd are right there for that same money.
Yeah, they're better.
That doesn't make any sense to me. That was very confusing. He has a really good agent. That's all.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna actually see if Kyle Pitts has the potential that we thought he did 2 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing that team play football. So it's made things interesting down there. Can I ask you guys something? What would you say the over/under percentage chance of Chase Claypool not being on an NFL roster come the start of next season being? I think it might be kind of high.
I think it's close to like 90%. I think it's like
yeah. I didn't even think it was that high.
I think it's. I mean, why would you sign him at this point? There's
No,
other wide receivers out there, and the what's the word I'm looking for? The vibe he brings to your locker room is just so bad at this point. It's been proven top to bottom. Like last year in the Bears, all he did was talk shit. Was it last year? Yeah, last year in the Bears, all he did was talk shit the whole time he was there. And they just healthy scratched him like 4 times.
Well, no, they traded him to fucking Miami, and they healthy scratched him.
They had right. Come on, right?
Yeah,
dude. We actually
point out that
the fact that we gave up a 2nd round pick for him was fucking crazy.
That was the worst. We knew it at the time.
Bad.
Yeah, we knew it. We were like, what the fuck is that?
The thing is, I mean, I know he was like talented at one point, or he could catch a ball, but there was a point I should have known because I was trying to be optimistic when we got him, but I should have known because. The angriest I've ever been at a player that doesn't play for the Chicago Bears was when he caught a pass on a drive where the Steelers were trying to win the game. And he the clock was running. and he
this
did the
thing,
like first
did
down
that thing.
celebration.
Yeah, dude.
And I don't know why, but I went apoplectic. Like I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" Like I went, and we
Yeah,
didn't even
man.
play for the Bears yet. And then we got him, and I was like, maybe he'll be good. And I should have fucking known. And he literally was he showed up. He was a fucking cunt for like 6 weeks, and then we just shipped him out to fucking Miami. And then he was a cunt down there for like 4 weeks, and then he got fucking scratched. And then it was like, that's it. I feel like if you hire him, you have a dysfunctional fucking franchise.
So what you're saying is you're coming around in my 90%. Is it?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, with the amount of talent that Mike has already gracefully pointed out exists in the draft at the wide receiver position, and the amount of talent that's still on the free agency board, like Odell's still available, Tyler Boyd, Curtis Samuel, DJ Chark, Michael Thomas, if he can stay healthy, and I think he might be 1 million years old. Josh Reynolds, KJ Osborne was good. He filled in for Jefferson on the Vikings, and he was honestly pretty serviceable. Like he could potentially be a wide receiver too if he takes another leap, but at least a solid 3. Yeah. There's fucking Byron Pringle. I would take over fucking Chase Claypool right now. No problem.
But
no problem.
It is worth noting that if Chase Claypool were on the Patriots, he would be a wide receiver 1, week 1.
Oh my goodness.
I honestly think if he was on the Patriots,
I'm not saying I want him, but
if he was on the Patriots circa like 2015, I think Bill Belichick would have stabbed him in the chest with some gardening shears or something. I feel like he must be just the worst person. Because everybody, like when he got cut from the Bears, like everybody in the Bears was like, "See ya."
Do you remember that one interview he had where I think it was with Brandon Marshall, and they were like, "Where do you rank yourselves in the ranking of wide receivers?" He's like, "Number 1." You're like, "Oh, bro,
So I think about it. You gotta think about it like that if you're an athlete. Well, you're not.
Yeah,
So
you definitely not.
I hope you have a comfortable couch, my friend.
He had what, like 3 good weeks in his career, right? Yeah.
Hey, Bobby, Josh Dobbs is a free agent.
I knew. I was waiting for that. I was fucking waiting.
I know you think he's the greatest quarterback of all time. So, do you think that he should maybe get signed and play somewhere? You think he's demanding too big of a contract? You think that
might be? Yeah, I think that he's probably like, bro, top 15 quarterback money. Got to be top 15 quarterback money, or I'm not signing.
You guys should
repeat that fucking lie.
I was on that train for like a good 3 weeks, and all of a sudden he wasn't playing. I was like, "What happened to Josh?"
Every backup QB,
he wasn't good, Bob.
Every backup QB that got for an injured starting QB, you declare as the greatest quarterback.
They play good for like 2 quarters. Yeah, I get excited.
It's literally the time it takes the video guy to be like, "Hold on a second, I got to dig up some tape on this dude. Give me like 2 quarters," and then they just have it figured out by that point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Anyone else notable? Any big notable moves? I feel like the Pats signed it. Didn't you guys sign an offensive lineman? I think that was good.
Well, we traded for one from Pittsburgh. Jesus. What the hell is his name?
Okorafor?
Yeah.
He's good, right?
So yeah, I mean, it sounds like he just talked to Pittsburgh. But we signed, obviously, get him. We got a Wenu back, Tyrone Wheatley back. So like we should have a service enough offensive line. And I like I said, I like the moves that they made, the small incremental moves to build around people that were here. Then I also started talking out loud and saying, well, why would you build around a 4-13 fucking team? And
I'm about to break some news, bro. I'm about to break some news. I shit you not. This is going to be the last thing we do on this episode of Missing the Point, and I can't believe that this just happened. Listen to this. Eric Kendricks changes his mind. Will sign with the Cowboys instead of the 49ers.
Woo!
Linebacker, he agreed to sign with the 49ers, and then he did an about face.
Hey, what's up?
The first Dallas Cowboys signing on a position I think you needed to address. You have a major hole to fill at linebacker.
We have a signing. Let's go. On the board,
Marquise Bell can go play safety again, so that's something.
Don't forget that you signed your long snapper, Trent Siege, earlier today too. So
I did see
we signed our long snapper again too. He's our longest tenured player. We re-signed him, so that's good.
That's what always happens, dude. Who is that one long snapper who's in the league for fucking ever?
Was it Snappington?
Yeah, you know who?
Yeah. He's been long snapping since the early days, bruh.
Since the first days of long snapping.
Okay, cool. I think we covered all the big moves for the most part. There's still some. I mean, the biggest thing for the Super Bowl champions being they re-signed their all-star D tackle, Chris Jones. So he got paid. So we're happy for him there. He doesn't have to hold out at the start of this season. He honestly had a fucking great year, and he had a great Super Bowl. I don't know if you guys noticed him just absolutely tearing up the line of the 49ers. Nothing to be sniffed at. There's still some edge rushers out there. You guys got any interest in a Chase Young? Because he didn't look that great on San Francisco.
He did. It's you know what? It seems like the perfect player for the Cowboys to sign. Because if you can't be motivated in the Super Bowl, bro, come on down to the Cowboys. It seems like a great place for you. So I feel like the Cowboys could go after him. I could see that happening.
You know, the two Bosa brothers are the two highest paid non-quarterbacks in the NFL.
Makes sense, right?
I just don't know if I want any one guy on my team making $100 million. I feel like the thing Brady did where he took like a tier down in his money, it saved money for the whole rest of the team, because it's like then they've said this much. I've seen them on podcasts where fucking the cudgel they'd hit everybody with. It's like Wes Welker would be like, "Hey, I need this much money," and Belichick would be like, "How can I give you that when I'm giving Brady this much money?" And it's like once you get one inflated contract on your team, like a Dak contract, or like even those Bosa brothers who are sick, I admit that, but you get a big ass $100 million whopper on your fucking team, like I don't know, man.
Really
like
hurts,
unless his
man.
name's Patrick Mahomes, like I think you might need to be a little careful with those I think it fucks up the balance of your cap.
That's
I'd
why
be
those rookie-
interested in the analytics of like the last 20 years, how many teams had that kind of contract, like the absolute max contract that went and won some shit.
Well, that's
Or
why
at
those
least
rookie
or
contracts are so huge,
sustainably.
man.
Yeah,
Well,
sustainably
it's-
won some shit. It's like you can do it once maybe, but you can't build a dynasty off the backs of those.
Especially the quarterbacks. That's why, like, when Mahomes is under that rookie contract, it was so huge. And like, remember when the Seahawks found Russ because he was like what, a third round pick or something like that? They gave all that money to the defense. Those are the teams.
Another reason the fucking Steelers are actually doing a good
Well,
thing. They're paying the
yeah,
They
for Russ.
gave all that money to Matt Flynn and Tavares Jackson to be their
That's true. I
quarterbacks.
forgot how
And then
much
Russ
money
came
they
out of
gave to
nowhere.
fucking Matt Flynn. I forgot how much money
They got
Matt
they got lucky.
Forgot.
They got fucking
They did.
super lucky.
They did.
Sometimes you need to get lucky. I mean, it's not like the Pats.
They gave him that much money because of one game. One game.
I just want to point out that Joe Flacco just signed a $9 million 1-year contract with the Colts, to be a backup.
Saw that. Saw that.
I mean, he's probably the best backup in the league based on the fact
What
that
we saw.
in
Yeah.
the league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I guess I don't know if he can do that again, but you never know. He's a terrible interview. It's like they really wanted him.
Yeah, awful.
Like
One
they're-
thing before you go, just because you care about this division more than I do, what do you think about Jerry Jeudy on the Browns?
It's really good. That whole team is going to come down to
It's so weird.
what
And
version-
Jameis.
Well, that to me, when they signed Jameis, I'm like, oh, okay, so Deshaun's gonna get hurt or go down again, because you always see Jameis. Like it's a ritual unlike any other that has the most consistency in the history of the NFL. Like Jameis Winston signs backup QB contract. Jameis Winston appears week 7. Jameis Winston goes 11 for 11 for 196 yards. Does an interview about how he got his eyes fixed, and then throws 19 picks over the next 4 games. That is the tale as old as time, my friends.
Eat a W, bro. Eat a W.
Yeah, so that to me tells me that Jerry Jeudy's. I didn't love his play on the Broncos last year, to be honest with you. I didn't think he was doing that offense a lot of favors with how he was playing. Maybe he was fed up. I don't know. He might have a little bit more name juice than actual like juice.
But
right.
But as a 2 behind Amari Cooper, like that could be that on paper that could be good.
I
But
might
he kind
just
of
get-
already was a 2 behind Sutton. You know what I mean? So
He
he kind of
was.
already did that. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's I don't know. I don't know if I love Judy, man.
I don't know.
I feel like I agree. He's been name juice. That's what he's been from the day he walked in the
he's got some
NFL,
name
bro.
juice.
He's got name juice. Yeah, that's it.
I just don't know if I love him as a player. He seems a little like he's not doing the extra reps. That's the vibe I get from him. Like I can tell when his team is about to run the ball, and I hate wide receivers like that. Like I really fucking, because like Chase Claypool was like that too, where it was like, I know you're running, dude. You don't look interested at all. They're not. I know which direction they're running too, because it ain't on your fucking side because you couldn't block.
Like Deontay Johnson last year in the Steel. Remember that shit where he just literally just stopped moving.
So bad, dude.
Yeah,
So
it's
bad.
terrible. It's pretty bad.
I get it, dude. Like, it's a physical game, and like your body is your paycheck.
It's a lot of money though.
Fucking
block.
It's a good amount of money, and I bet it sucks to like fucking, I bet it sucks, when it's like, especially if you're on a run heavy team and you feel like you're a fucking stud or whatever. But wide receivers fucking complain when they're like the number one wide receiver on a team and they get a shitload of targets.
Right.
Like fucking, you heard. I mean, T. Higgins is asking for a trade. Did they franchise tag him?
They did. Yeah.
So he's just gonna be they're just gonna have an unhappy T. Higgins for a season. I don't love
it.
that.
Seems like it.
I don't love that at all for them. But
they said they might trade him, but
they should, honestly.
Yeah,
there's enough wide receiver talent out there. It's like you don't want an unhappy T. Higgins on your team. Honestly, who gives a shit? He still has juice. You could get something for him.
T. Higgins is dope, man.
Yep.
T. Higgins is really good.
But I'm like I said, there's a shitload of wide receivers like still out there. So, especially in the draft, according to the experts, who usually year on year, it turns out they don't know shit. Stephon Gilmore's a free agent. Anybody want him?
No.
Yeah, man. I liked him last year until that fucking game, bro. I was so out on him after that game, and he was so bad in that game. He was fucking lost. So yeah, no, I don't know.
I don't think
like
anyone's
he
gonna
lost
sign
that
Eddie
stat.
Jackson. Eddie Jackson's fucking cooked. So don't buy that hot dog. It's been sitting in the roller at 7-Eleven for a little bit too long. All right. Well, I think now that we're talking about Eddie Jackson and hot dogs, I think we might have covered all the big ones. But hey, listen, it's literally we could probably do another fucking hour on the free agency that's already happened, and it hasn't even officially started yet. Like people are not.
It's like the non-tampering illegal period.
Non-tampering illegal period. And it's just like ESPN's just like fucking red alert for the last 2 days. It's been fun, but there's still more moves to go, still more trades to happen, and. Yeah, I mean, I was making fun of the draft a couple of years ago, but I'm pumped for it now. I'm going to turn it off after the 9th pick, but still, it's going to be a lot of fun for the first 10 picks. So we actually, as always, we have a surprising amount of football content coming your way over the course of the football offseason because they are the behemoth. They are the big boy. They are the gift that keeps on giving. But also we have Celtics content coming your way. I'm frustrated with them right now. Mike basically spent a whole show talking me into the fact that they're still annoying. And then we went and played the Nuggets and did like all the annoying things. I was like, oh my fucking God, we had to like have just done this show where like the whole time I was like, yeah, but like, I don't know. They're still winning a shitload of games. And Mike kept being like, that's not what the show is about. The show is about what like they're not doing right. And then it was really glaring to me when we watched the Nuggets game. I was like, God damn it. They're still so annoying. And honestly, Missoula still doesn't run plays. In the last fucking 7 seconds of games where all we need is 2 points. He just doesn't. He's like, I do your best.
Hero ball. Yeah.
Do your best. And then it's like, we always put up the dumbest shot, turning around away from the basket every single time, whether it's Tatum or it was Porzingis in that game. Anyway, this is completely off topic. We'll do a Celtics show.
Stay tuned for that. Yeah, stay tuned for that. Let's go.
Preview. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. This has been Missing the Point.
Introducing the Deep Leadership Podcast. Leadership is a people business. That's the philosophy of your podcast host, John Rennie. As a former submarine officer who spent 22 years leading businesses in corporate America before starting his own manufacturing business, he knows that leadership matters. Deep Leadership is real-world, actionable leadership advice from John and his expert guests. Become a leader worth following. Subscribe today.
Electricast. Have you ever wondered what actually happens in Congress every day? Stay informed on Capitol Hill's daily happenings with a concise, factual summary of the Senate and House of Representatives' activities from the previous session, free from bias, on the Congressional Record Daily Digest podcast. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and discover the process from the heart of U.S. politics. The Congressional Record Daily Digest, an Electricast production. Electricast.